Welcome everybody to the first video of a series in where we will go through a sort of Figma example and make a design in CSS and HTML, and you'll sort of learn how to use CSS grid, flexbox, things like that to make basically this design right here. So what we have here is a sort of data analysis sort of app, right? So in this case, this little app is going to be a website, and the full version of the website is going to look something like, something like this. So this is going to go on someone's monitor on their PC. This is what they're going to see when you open up on a full, desktop computer or laptop. And basically you've got a scrollable sort of a number of graphs here with a little scroll bar. You've got a little timeline here that you can scroll through here, scrub through here. You got some buttons. You got a time readout, like a total time. You got a little fuel gauge here, although I haven't put it in here because we won't need that. And then we've got like a 3D model sort of view here on the left of this car, and then we've got a map of the location of where the car is, at that time. So this is sort of like the laptop view. We're not going to make this today. We will just be making the the mobile view, right? So if you visit the website that has this page with your phone, the CSS will detect that you are using basically a not as wide screen. So because you're using a phone, the screen will be less wide, some certain pixel value, and then it'll say, okay, switch to this kind of CSS and rearrange everything to sort of look like this. And so in this case, we still have that scrollable graph display here, and you'll be able to scroll through these and swipe up and down to go through them. We've also got the time up here. We've got a little live readout here, and here we've got like a bigger sort of chunkier timeline bar, sort of like a scrub through bar, because to make it basically easier to select with your thumb, and it's down here because this is where your thumb would be. And then here we've got buttons for the 3D model of the car. So if you, let's say, press this button here, this on the right would open up. So this will sort of move down these graphs, and your car view would open up. If you were to, then you can just press X here, and then it would come back to this page. And then you'd press this map little icon, and then it would show up sort of like this with the map here. So you can sort of quickly see what's happening to the car as it goes. So what we're going to do is sort of the first step to making something like this and this is we need to realize that, okay, there's two sort of states, right? So the first state is laptop, desktop state. Second is mobile state. And actually, it's recommended that we first design our site with mobile in mind. So actually, when I came up with this whole thing, I actually came up with it with desktop in mind first, and then went to mobile. So it's definitely a bit more different. But what's going to happen is, in this case, I'll be using media queries to basically detect when you're using a phone, right? When you have like a narrower width, and change the CSS based on that. So the CSS will either output this kind of style with everything in these positions, or at a certain width, it'll output this kind of style with these positions. So let's get to it. So what we'll do is first obviously we need a CSS file, an HTML file, So let's move this over to a different screen. Ooh. Yeah. And then we will we're just gonna maybe open up VS Code at the desktop and then close that one. And we're going to now just make a new folder. I'm going to call it something like mobile view, whatever, and then we're going to open that folder in VS Code right there. Let me say, I don't need this, I don't want to save that. Okay, so now we're here. We were in mobile view here. Let's make this bigger. We're in mobile view up here in our work folder, workspace, I don't know. We'll right click here, new file, and we're going to go, first we know we're going to need a styles.css file. So we're going to make that. We're also going to right click, make a new one, and call it index.html. And for now, I think that's all we need. So in the index.html file, we will type in just the regular HTML, but you know what? Actually, down here, this always goes to Django HTML, and then it doesn't autocomplete. I just do HTML like that. Then it'll autocomplete for me, right? So we're going to make an HTML. We're going to make a head tag. We're going to make also a body tag here. Okay. So then what we'll do in the head tag, and hopefully you realize I'm learning as I go as well. I can never remember this either. So what we're going to do is go to just how to import external CSS to HTML. And I know W3 Schools has a bad rap, but the small certain things, like I'll go there just to check out this small stuff, and they're not that bad anymore. So so here's an example. It looks like this is the way to do it. So we're just going to copy that and then put it in the head. And so link rel style sheet, cool, type text CSS, and href is not my style. It is styles.css, the name of our CSS file. Okay, so that has linked our CSS file to our HTML file. And actually, if I go to it here and let's review and explore, and let's open it with Google Chrome. And if we go up here, so if we do F12 in Google Chrome, we'll see the developer menu. It won't show this exactly because mine's, what we'll do is I'm going to move this, I'm going to dock it to the right here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what you can see is that, yeah, we got this head body HTML. We're going to be using this kind of extensively, the developer console. And you can see here it has loaded, let's see, it has loaded index HTML, but it's also loaded our styles.css file. So what we'll do is we will move this, maybe we'll move the code here, and just have the page here like so. Okay, so another thing is in Figma, let's move this over here. Hard to see, but okay. So the first thing I'm thinking is let's just make a bunch of divs, right? So I'm thinking like we're gonna make like a grid thing. So like one's gonna be kind of like this. If we let's take away the fill. Let's make a stroke. So, you know, so like there's gonna be a certain div here, and it's gonna be composed of these sort of two elements here. It's going to be composed of these two elements here, like so, you know, and then we've got, I'll just copy this over. We've also got this whole thing, let's say, like so, like this whole thing is an element, and then let's say one of these is an element. So we've got something like, you know, we've got these elements, right? So they don't really line up perfectly, but Anyways, so we've got, you can kind of see how they sort of line up, right? So there's those elements, and then inside of those we have different ones, but we won't worry about those. We're just going to worry about the, let's just do this. We're going to worry about just the main big ones for now. And then we also have a separate element that's down here. It's going to be like this. And then we can say we have another element that's just the buttons. That's just all the buttons here. Okay, okay, so we have about 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of divs, right? So I'm going to go and do div. First one's going to be called div class equals, let's just, to try to be semantic, what does it do? It tells you it's live and it's also time. So like live, live time, yeah, sure, live time. And then we'll just do that, and then we'll close it, and we're going to make another one, div class equals, and then we'll just call it, this actually is going to be a UL, right? But the UL is going to have to, yeah, let's make this a UL, an unordered list, and then class equals graphs. Okay, most of them are graphs, and then we're going to do div again, and then we're going to class equals, time, or time bar, and then we're going to go div class equals buttons. Well, let's call it nav buttons. Okay, so we've got all these divs and stuff in the UL, and what we can do now is we will, let's say we want to like show where those are, right? So if I go, I just press Control S to save that automatically, and I'm going to go back to the index.html in Chrome, and you can see they've shown up here, but right now they have no really widths or heights, right? So what I'm also going to do is toggle the device toolbar and just toggle it to a pixel 2, so then we can sort of see it as a phone screen. And let's start with, well, what I want to do is make this into a CSS. Make it into a CSS flexbox, right? So what we're going to do is, in styles of CSS, our first style will be to the body tag, because the body is the sort of thing that's going to be holding everything. And oh, it's not dot body. Oh my, that is so wrong. Okay, what we're going to do is go to, we're going to say display, and display flex. And then we can also do flex direction. I think vertical, I think you can type just that. So let's just do that, see what that did. Boom. So now it's still sort of not really doing much because nothing here has a width, or at least. Okay, so what we can do is we have a bunch of divs and stuff, and what about, let's just make everything the same width for now in the body, just to show you how it looks. So let's just see how to select all children of element CSS, because I just want to use this div.class, select all child elements. What? I don't know what they're doing. Select all child elements recursively. Use white space. Oh, so can we do body, that, like that, and then we can do border. I think it's CSS border. I forgot all about that. Border style. Oh, it's border. CSS borders. Yeah, single or solid. Yeah, that's the word. Solid black 2px. Let's just do that. Let's see what happens. Hey, look at that. All these have borders now, but they don't have widths. What I'm also going to do is going to do align items, center, and then justify content center. Let's refresh. Hey, look at that. Everything is sort of in the middle, justified, but everything has 0 width, 0 height. So I'm going to give everything a certain height. So let's say 20 pixels and width equals 100 pixels. Save that. Hey, look at that. Flex direction looks wrong. Maybe I did wrong. Oh, it's not vertical, it's column. Column. That's what it was. Hey, look at that. So we got all our things. So let's make this, let's say 200px just for you to see it better. And then 100px for the height. There you go. So we have our elements, right? They're not the right height, but let's give it a certain width. So let's just go 90%. Hey, look at that. And we'd like it to fill. So I'm going to go to this wonderful website. If you type in Flexbox, you go to Complete Guide to Flexbox by CSS Tricks. And we're going to go to, let's see. It defines the ability for flex item to grow if necessary. Okay, so we can do flex grow. That's applied to the children. So, but we want them to be different, right? Well, what about this? Justify content. Let's say not center, but we want space evenly. Let's do space evenly, right? So let's go justify content space evenly. There we go. So now they're spaced out evenly, right? And yeah, so there we go. They're spaced out evenly. And what we can do is also now just maybe change the height. Maybe it's 200 pixels, for example. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Also, the width is a bit different. And I think that's because the UL sort of is a bit screwy. So we're going to go UL, and we're going to go margin 0, padding 0. There we go. Now the UL is the same size exactly. So just because a UL, an unordered list, has a margin property basically built in, like it's just a default thing. So now we've got all those in there, and it's almost looking like it. We just need to set different sizes for these, right? So let's set a size. Oh yeah, so we got to set different sizes for these. So let's so this thing looks to be about, how big is this? Height about 400 pixels. This is about 100. This is about 80. Okay. But we don't want to do it that way because different devices have different ratios, right? So we don't want to give them exact pixels. Like doing this 90% width is better. So instead, what I'm going to do is we're going to go into, actually, let's just go move this over here. These practices are not the best practices. So what we can do is for live time, the proportion of live time to like this whole thing, this is like 43 pixels, right? But this whole thing is like 731. So like it's about 6%, right? So let's just do this. Dot live time height 6%. Let's see how that will look. Ooh, that looks really bad. What about 6 view height? That's better. Okay, so it's view height. Yeah, okay. And then we're just going to do 90. We're going to make this like 95 view width. There you go. And I think what we might want to do is Hmm. Well, we'll see. So the second one is graphs. So graphs looks to be about 400 to 731. It's about 55%, let's say. So after lifetime, go graphs, boom, height, 55 view height. Hey, there we go, cool. And then we're going to grab the next two, which are, here. This one is 110, 10 divided by about 15%. And that was called, what was that called? Time bar. So we're going to go dot time bar height 15 view height. There we go. Bam. Okay. And lastly, we have, what is it? This guy. And this is 82. It's about 11%, right? So and that guy is called nav buttons. Dot nav buttons height 11 view height. Okay, so let's save that, and then so that's about the right height, but they're still sort of, the problem is that the bottom here has like the phone is on the bottom here. But with percentages, this should be okay for the whole screen. I kind of like how these are spaced apart like this. We can probably, let's give the graphs maybe a bit more. And that just gives it a little bit like that. Cool. That seems all right. Okay. So now we have our flex box. So now this will, let's go to responsive mode. So it changes with the width, right? So it'll change size with the width, and it'll also change with the height. Although the height doesn't change exactly how we'd love it to, because let's say we have the pixel 2 and we rotate it like this. I mean, that's not too bad. Actually, that would be pretty good. If we have the live readout here, the graphs are still okay. The timeline is good to push, to slide around with your finger, and then you can press the buttons down here. So we can keep it like that. So that's the first part of this this tutorial. And in the next tutorial we'll go through and start adding sort of the insides of these boxes, and adding more sort of elements inside. And we'll add these lists, and we'll add this time bar here, and we'll add these buttons, and we can even put in these SVGs and exactly into the buttons as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope the production quality and the quality of these videos goes up as I make more. Anyways, let me know in the comments if this was understandable, if this was too fast, too slow. Any feedback is appreciated, especially this early on. All right, see you next time.